Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking. I'm looking at a book which I've used on and off for teaching for some years now. It's a very good book, but written by Professor Gary Slapper and David Kelly. It's called The English Legal System. It's about common law reasoning. It's the year 2009 to 2010 edition by Routledge Cavendish. You can see it's a heavy book, 650 odd pages, and a bit of colour in it, the usual sort of stuff, some very useful, very detailed information, a large number of chapters, and at the back substantial bibliography and a very good index with a lot of case law as well, which is to be expected. This is a copy of my Flickr review, which obviously looks in some detail at what's in the book. Let me talk for the purposes of this video review about what I've called the book. I've said it's because law governs life, exclamation mark is the heading. Here's essential reading for students of law and practitioners too, because it's good for you as a learner, but also someone who has a practice and may well wish to refresh your memory about what's happening within the system, because a lot of change is taking place. So if you're a student of law, or at whatever level, I think Slapper and Kelly and this particular book is actually definitely for you. It's an essential work of reference, and it can actually only make your studies easier, in my opinion. The 10th edition, which is this one here, has 15 chapters and about 650 pages, and the authors have created a clear and accessible work here which is aimed at imparting a good understanding of the law, its institutions and its processes. And they point out what many of us only dimly realise, that our law permeates into every cell of social life, governing everything from food and drink and the air we breathe to travel, family relationships, sexuality and virtually everything else: science, employment, business, education, health, of course, conflicts from neighbours' disputes to wars. The list, of course, is by no means exhaustive, as you will certainly be aware. Since the first edition came out in 1994, which I reviewed, the English legal system, although it's used in different names now, is still on the main item on the syllabus for the LLB. It's successfully cut through with this book the complexities of the subject, because superficially it's quite an easy subject, but when you get into it there's a lot of depth, of course, to the structure of our system. And this book sets out the law and the system, in my view, in a social context, which is very relevant to today. Each new edition published since the first came out has been thoroughly updated to take into account new developments within the English legal system and, of course, common law reasoning, which is what we refer to it in overseas jurisdictions. The 2009 to 10 edition incorporates material on important changes to the following: the criminal justice system, statutory interpretation, judges, changes in the legal professions and the funding of our legal services. And the new courts are described very well here, with the rules of civil procedure in revised chapters, also of course incorporating criminal procedure, which underpin the recent reforms we've had to the system. Also incorporated are proposals for changes to human rights law, which is a very live issue at the moment, and major common law decisions from 2008 onwards in the Court of Appeal and the House of Lords, and also of course from the European Court of Human Rights. I think of particular relevance at present is the chapter on arbitration, tribunal adjudication and alternative dispute resolution, ADR, which is popular with the current senior judiciary, and rightly so. I mean, obviously mediation must be a factor to be considered before that step to contentious litigation starts. Much thought's gone into the subject by Slapper and Kelly of creating a structure for the book which makes it convenient to read and yet at the same time easy to use. And I think it's one of the most easily accessible legal texts that we actually have at the moment. And this if perhaps this wasn't enough, there's a companion website where you can access skill-led student resources online, and that's of course a very useful additional piece of help. Great support unit as well for the 21st century learner. So if you're a student, there are of course these online skills resources and guidance which give you the best practice, and of course that I think is a good selling point for the book, and it makes our lives as teachers a lot easier. There are interactive exercises and activities, and there's a glossary and flashcards for those interminably puzzling terms which we have to use. And to help you determine how you'd fare on this current craze for multiple choice exams, there's a bank of multiple choice questions to test your knowledge. And I've made a comment, bar vocational students, please note, because there's an awful lot of weight attached to these MCTs, far too much in my view, but there we are, that's the way it is. If you need more revision help, you can access Slapper's top 10 revision tips. Great idea this, which the podcast and practice with sample exam questions, complete with model answer structures. Do beware of model answers, because the whole purpose of what you're doing is for you to express yourself, show that you have the legal structure and the legal approach to things. And to achieve even more outstanding results via further research, which means hard work, there are also substantial web links. There's a bit at the end of the work on web links specifically, and recommendations for further reading. And if you're a tutor like I am, there's a free suite of exclusive teaching resources for your own lecture presentations and so on, and obviously it's password protected for your eyes only. And so all in all, what you've got here is a resource base in a book, and I think that's pretty good. Small wonder then that the English legal system has always been, and continues to be with the 10th edition, a favourite with both learners and lecturers alike, and an extremely useful reference for practitioners where law governs life for all of us. So thank you very much, Gary and David. Bye-bye.